Hello again. So, yesterday I looked at the section on happiness in the Dhammapada, and today I'm going to look at the next section, which is pleasure. So, it's quite interesting having these two sections together, isn't it? Because the section on happiness was, all the verses about what makes us really happy by going for refuge to what can really help us rather than the refuges that we usually are drawn to. So this section on pleasure, um, well, you might think it was more of the same, but of course it's opposite in a way. So the first verse begins by saying, "He who gives himself entirely to sensual pleasures and does not concentrate, gives up the real for the pleasant, and comes to envy the one who pursues wisdom." He who gives himself entirely to sensual pleasures and does not concentrate gives up the real for the pleasant and comes to envy the one who pursues wisdom. So there's a big distinction between happiness and pleasure here, isn't there? So yes, why is it that we, well, in a way we act a bit like children. We might not see it that way. So children have very little tolerance for waiting for anything that they want, don't they? It's like they want it right now, and they might lie screaming on the floor if they don't get it right now. And in a way, we're a bit the same. We don't like to put off our pleasures. You know, we don't think of the long term. We think of the short term. And that's why we often find it very difficult to stick to our resolves. For example, we might make an intention not to overeat, for example, or to eat well, to eat the right things. And, before we know it, we've opened the fridge and, we've taken out the cheese or a packet of biscuits from the cupboard. We find it very difficult, actually, if we're deeply honest, to do the best for ourselves. So, maybe we think, okay, maybe it would be better if I only looked at my mobile phone once every couple of hours. And then we find ourselves sort of automatically checking it. And this verse is really drawing our attention to the fact that a lot of the time we're not very mindful. I think that's possibly what it means to some extent. He who gives himself entirely to sensual pleasures and does not concentrate. So, does not concentrate, well, we could see it in various ways. One is, who doesn't meditate. But I think it's referring to mindfulness here. If we live our life without mindfulness, then we get drawn by our cravings all the time, and we just look at ways of responding to those. And of course, the society that we're living in here in Britain, anyway, encourages that. So I think that's why a lot of people get into debt, because they want things right now. They don't want to wait for them. And it means that, they'll borrow money. People will borrow money so that they can have things right now and maybe get into, a lot of debt. So, I think we're encouraged in our society to do that. Don't wait. Have it now. And all the advertising is around that. And it creates a lot of suffering. I don't know about you. I've even had things through the door, advertising loans and so on. Have you got, do you want some money? Will nobody else give it to you? We will. In a way, it's promoting people getting into trouble. He gives up the real for the pleasant. This is interesting, and comes to envy the one who pursues wisdom. Gives up the real for the pleasant. So chasing after pleasures it puts us into a very unreal situation. In what way does it do that? Well, it pretends that we can have satisfaction all the time. That if we respond to all our wants, immediately they arise, that in some way we'll find happiness. And this is telling us that we won't, that it's unreal. It's unreal to expect to have everything we want. And it's unreal because it takes us away from being aware. It takes us away from mindfulness. It takes us away from the present, actually. So a lot of what we do is doing that. It's taking us away from being right here, right now. Very hard to explain this one, isn't it? So, yes, if I sit with you here right now, I don't know who you are. You can see me, I can't see you. But I'm just imagining some of my friends and the people I know in the Sangha, because you're the ones that are probably watching this. And I'm right here, right now, with you, and you, and you. And I'm bearing you in mind with metta. And there's a certain sense of being completely okay and satisfied in that moment. I don't know if you know what I mean, but it's lovely. It's actually not a very pleasant feeling to crave. It's a kind of excited, grasping, leaning towards sense of dissatisfaction. You know, I'm not all right as I am. I'm not all right where I am. There's something missing that I'm wanting, that I'm striving towards, that I think will make my life better. So it's a very strange sort of state of mind to be in when you really, really think about it, isn't it? Envy the man who pursues wisdom. Well, I think we all have well, not just appreciation, but well, I mean, it can be jealousy, but a deep appreciation, you know, of what we consider wise, of what type of person we consider has wisdom. You know, what does wisdom mean to us? How do we recognise it in others? What do they manifest? What do they represent to us? And it's usually something that, you know, we haven't got, but we recognise we're lacking in some way. Cling to nothing, for its loss is pain. Those who have gone beyond the loved and the hated have cut off their fetters. Okay, let's be clear. This isn't about saying, you know, don't love anything. But those who have gone beyond love and hate, in other words, those extremes, the clinging and the aversion. In other words, it's talking about equanimity, isn't it? About not leaning one way or the other. They've gone beyond love and hate. What sort of state of mind could that be? It would be being perfectly at ease and, yes, in a very balanced state, you know, a very loving state, actually, a very compassionate state that didn't crave, that didn't grasp. So it's talking about that sticky love where we imagine that the loved person is everything we would like them to be, rather than the person that they actually are. Cling to nothing, for its loss is pain. And we will all have to lose that which we love at some time. We can't, it can't last forever. Nobody and nothing lasts forever. We know that. It's funny, I've just realised, I could say the same things every day. And what we need to do is let them penetrate more and more deeply, don't we? Yeah. So that's all I'm going to say for today. Bye for now.